Today's show is brought to you by Manscaped.com. See the podcast description for a special money off code. Welcome to the Spurs News Podcast, your home for all things Tottenham Hotspur. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Spurs News Podcast. I am Sam, back once again like a renegade master. Joining me, it's Matt.
Hey mate, you're sounding a lot more chipper this week, which I like the sound of.
I feel a lot better this week,
Good.
which is ridiculous.
Good.
Because it's like up and down like a Bristol girl's knickers after 4 pints. It's mad, man. It's
Only 4
absolutely mad.
pints?
Yeah, cider. Yeah, that's the stuff we have around here and knock your ass off. So hello everyone. I'm feeling a bit better. Thank you very much for the messages, etc. And the one or two people who are going through the same thing. Solidarity, brothers and sisters. Speaking of sisters, by the way, our listenership for ladies across the world is up.
Yeah, you mentioned this last week, didn't you?
Yeah, I get a very detailed statistical breakdown now of like who's listening, where they are, and everything like that. Because I don't want to make a big deal out of this, but me and Matt, we're kind of a big deal now. You're kind of lucky to be here, all right? Just saying.
I'm still waiting for my first autograph to be requested at the ground. Like, I'm waiting for someone to go, hang on, are you the Spurs News guy?
Yeah,
wow. Can you sign my shirt?
I get nervous. Like, if someone goes, hey, you that guy on Spurs News, I'm automatically expecting to then get like a lecture on something. Like, back in episode whatever, you said this, and I thought you were an ass. well, thank you. And yes, I am. Speaking of like sightings out in the wild, though, so a few days ago, I was wearing a. Okay, this is going to sound sad no matter how I dress it up. A couple of Christmases ago, I'm just going to throw the backstory in. As a bit of a thing, all the Spurs News group, I bought everyone a Spurs News polo shirt. It's kind of like a fun Christmas gift. We all got one. I wear mine every now and again, just like doing stuff around the house. And I had it on the other day when I ordered an Indian takeaway, which the nice gentleman brought to me. And for the life of me, there we go, found it. Okay, so hello Anil. Anil was the delivery driver for my Indian takeaway, who arrived wearing a Tottenham shirt. It was transfer deadline day. I was knackered, by the way, because I've been covering the friggin' thing all day. Man, just covering the stuff and like the backwards and forwards. It is mentally exhausting. I don't know how the actual journalists do it. I don't know how anyone does it. It's ridiculous. But anyway. He brought my food, and you noticed the Spurs News thing. He went, that's a random, you a Tottenham fan? I was like, yeah, I do a podcast. He was like, yeah, Spurs News. Oh my God, you're Sam. And I was like,
no way.
Okay, this isn't good. You literally stood at my front door. please be a listener that likes me. Please don't be the guy that emails me every week telling me I suck. And we had a chat, and I was like, oh, this is really great. I love this conversation, and I'll definitely shout out to you on the podcast. But can you leave now because you've delivered my food and it's getting cold?
I was hoping the story then where you go, and here is it for free. Did he not give it to you
for
free?
No. There was no discount from Anil. So actually, I retract your shout out, Anil. Fuck you, guy. But all joking aside, thank you. The food was great. so I don't mind paying for it. It was fine. That was kind of surreal and weird, and I'm never wearing that again. I don't want to be recognised. But if you're interested in buying Spurs News merchandise, please get in touch. Sam at spursnews.co.uk. You can buy caps, polo shirts, t-shirts, and OnlyFans logins. Anyway. So, that was that. That was a weird thing out in the wild. So, get that out of the way, first of all. But we're talking about the transfer window and deadline day. That was a weird day, because I started the day like really pumped that we had a couple of things we were going to do. And by about lunchtime, I was done.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't keep track of this anymore. Every time it's like, oh yeah, we're close on this. I'm like, oh, that'd be good. I then get another message going, yeah, that's gone wrong. So yeah, that was kind of.
Do you know what? I know
day.
It's one of those things with the transfer deadline day where, look, I think we've done some good business over the course of the window.
We have, yeah.
But it would have been. Look, don't get me wrong, it was great that we got that. He's pronounced Royale as well. I've been calling him Emerson Royal, but I read somewhere that he's pronounced Royale, Emerson Royale.
No, it can't be. No, I can't have that.
You can't have that. No.
I'm a Pulp Fiction fan, and all I can think of when I hear someone say Royale is Royale with cheese.
Have you not been seeing there's loads of memes going around because that is how it's pronounced?
Oh no!
Oh no! Here we go.
That's a season of it. I'm gonna have to find that audio clip, and anytime he does something good, we're gonna have to open the podcast with Royale with cheese.
There you go. But I would have loved. It looked like it was potentially on the cards for a very short period of time, but Ruben Neves would have been a great signing. That would have been my transfer window done if that had come on.
The rumor on that one was basically we were player interested, we were interested. Wolves kind of had a figure in mind that was doable, and so it was infinitely possible. And the kind of Traore thing felt like as it went into the deadline day, and don't get me wrong, I think we were legitimately interested in him at one point, but it kind of went into deadline day. It felt a bit like a smokescreen. Because it kind of felt like we'd asked about him, they'd set a price, and we'd gone, no.
Yeah.
But the press kind of carried on running it, if you know what I mean. Like, oh, Tottenham are definitely interested. I kind of feel like it was an asked and answered kind of quickly situation. But we've never. It appears there is a fee that I don't know if it's a release clause or what, but it does appear there is a figure that Wolves say yes to on that, and it isn't one that I'd bulk at, if that makes sense. Like, I heard we were going to spend 40 to 50 million on Traore. I was kind of like, no. Please no. No. I got into this debate with people, and because I said it to you about, it could be quite exciting to watch, and you were like, no.
Yeah.
And like the overall debate with people seemed to be like, he'd get bums off seats, it'd be fun, it'd be exciting to watch, and yet I'm kind of like with you on this, which is I loved watching Aaron Lennon play for Tottenham, but one of the most frustrating things when Aaron Lennon first joined us was the fact he beat 5 people, then fall over.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, don't get me wrong, he got your bums off your seat, but then about 2 or 3 seconds later, your bum was back on the seat again.
Yeah, whilst bemoaning the entire world and hating it for inventing football. Yeah, I mean that's Tottenham. So perhaps he was perfect for us. Yeah, he gets up, does something amazing, then falls over, trips over. Yay! Oh. Yeah, that's Tottenham in a nutshell. But so the link with Neves, I mean, unsurprisingly, I think Wolves were like, you're not having him on loan.
Yeah.
You're not having him on the buy now, pay later deal that you're doing with half of Europe.
The DFS deals.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, look, Paratici, I know you're going around all your contacts basically like, yeah, we'll pay it off in 10, buy now, interest free for 12 months. What? Nothing. So Wolves were kind of like, look, this is the fee. If you pay it, yeah, okay. I think everything kind of hinged on Ndombele. I think if Ndombele had been able to leave, I think Neves was the replacement, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, that's purely my thinking. There's a guy in France as well who we were looking at, and Arsenal were looking at. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Aur or something like that. Plays for Lyon.
Okay.
He's a creative midfielder. That was quite an interesting one as well, because right up until the final hour there was like this insistent rumour that there was like a deal there, but unless Ndombele found a new club it wasn't going to happen. So I mean that's the reality of it. I mean, speaking of people finding new clubs, of course, as deadline day came to a close, I was pretty much checking out. I was done. And then I think I put in our chat, I was like, I've just been told by someone who's normally pretty good that we're talking to Serge Aurier about terminating his contract. And I was like, you get stories like this on deadline days and stuff, and it never really happened. So I was I remember when it was all the talk about Danny Rose doing that, and then he stayed for a season in the under-23s. So I was a bit like, nah, never mind. The window's closed now. I'm done. I've eaten my Indian takeaway. Thanks, Anil. I'm done. I'm out of here. And I just clicked Twitter on, and all of a sudden my Twitter feed was full of every journalist with any inside track at Tottenham going, I'm told that Serge Aurier. I was like, oh crap, it's real.
Yeah.
So within 10 to 15 minutes, it was confirmed. Sergio Aurier has left the club. It was a mutual termination of his contract. He had less than a year left to run. Mate, what are your thoughts on, first of all, your thoughts on Sergio Aurier's time with us, and then second of all, your thoughts on how it just ended?
So with his time with us, I know he divided opinion, didn't he? Quite a lot.
Yeah.
Now, it's quite bizarre actually because when you look at when I went on Twitter the next day, you expected, as we've said countless times, and most people who go on Twitter know it can be a vicious place at the best of times.
Yeah.
But the anger didn't seem to be towards Aurier. It seemed to be towards people who were happy that he was leaving. And there was a lot of people saying, "Look, this guy played 2 or 3 days after his brother was murdered, and that showed his dedication. Good luck to him. How can you be so happy he's gone?" Yeah. It's a really strange one. So I know that they're professionals. Football players are professionals. They go to a club. They're professional. There's no getting away from the fact that he's an Arsenal fan, whether that made any difference or not.
It did.
Yeah. Well, there you go. He had some real moments. I can remember that goal he scored. I think it was in Europe where he just
the volley.
It come over to his right foot, and it was such a clean hit, and that's difficult for most football players to do,
I agree.
For him to have that ability showed he had a lot of ability, But as most of us kind of thought with him, it was just his rashness that used to let him down so much, Yeah. And I said this before, and probably the best way I can myself describe how I used to see him was that he was constantly trying to make a YouTube video. Like he was like it was like the art of defending for him was, how can I make this look really amazing so it's going to be a brilliant 3 or 4 second clip, so when someone looks on YouTube, look at that tackle, and very occasionally it came off, but vast majority of the times it led to a penalty or free kick in a place where the opposition scored from, and you're like, Jesus, Serge, why do that,
No, I agree. It's kind of like decision making was just bonkers at times. And my overriding feeling of him being with us was one of you never knew what was going to happen next. And with a defender, that's probably the least quality you want. If you've got like this tricky winger and you're like, I don't know if he's going to go left, going to go right, that's exciting, that's interesting. With a defender, I kind of want to know that he's going to defend.
Yeah, sure.
And I remember watching him in the final sort of time of Pochettino. He just didn't put any effort in at all. You could see he'd completely checked out. Under Jose Mourinho, I'm not a big Mourinho fan, but I remember watching that guy on the touchline basically screaming at Serge Aurier as Aurier just strolled back.
Yeah.
He's gone forward. The other team are counter-attacking, and there's Serge just like walking out, taking in the day, looking up at the stands, like, I think that's my mum, just like, having a good look round. Yeah, weird. You don't normally see seagulls flying over this time of day. It was beyond belief. The guy just drove me insane. Of course, we all remember the Amazon documentary and Jose saying, "You have the tendency to give a shit penalty," and all's going, yeah, we know, trust us, we know. And there's a flip side to that. The flip side is, if people keep telling you you're shit, you're going to start to believe it and make mistakes, and perhaps the pressure of someone doing that to him cause more problems. I don't know. The reality is he arrived under a cloud of controversy, the way he spoke to his previous manager, the homophobic comments, and the fact he was an Arsenal fan. And he's left as equally as outrageously, if you like, because the reality is over the summer we've agreed fees with up to 10 clubs of interested in him, and he's rejected the lot. So he's basically manipulated a situation where he's got to the final day. He's not been a very positive influence, I'm told, at the dressing room this year. because he wants to leave. Now, that's not me saying he's been out of his way causing problems, because some players do that. What I mean by that is Nuno apparently said to the squad one by one in front of everyone, like, do you want to be here? And everyone's like, yeah, of course I want to be here, you know? And he gets to Sturridge, he's like, absolutely not.
No way.
and I kind of respect it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you're trying to get like everyone amped, and then Tanguy's apparently like, yeah, me too, I want to go. There seems to be a feeling within the club. Oh yeah, and in that same thing, I was told it got the Musa Sissoko, and he went, I don't mind.
Yeah, do you know with Musa Sissoko,
he
always
laid back man in the world.
Yeah, he really is. He just give or take anything, wouldn't he? Yeah, you know, I'll stay if you want me to. I'll go if you want me to go.
yeah. Just you want me to run over there? Okay, yeah, that's cool. I get paid a lot of money for this. I'm good.
I'm good.
Just tell me what to do. yeah. People think I'm a football player. It's hilarious. Really. Yeah.
Do you know what? I love it though, because so you know, you mentioned Danny Rose and the fact that Danny Rose, you know, it was clear for a long time he just wanted to go. I mean, like, you know, that Emerson documentary, it's like, get me out of here, you know. Yep. But he never got sold, and his contract wasn't terminated.
Never got any interest from Milan, sadly.
Yeah. But I don't know whether it's a Nuno thing or a Paratici thing, because both of these guys are new. But one of them, and I'm presuming it's Nuno, said, look, if these guys don't want to play, and obviously with Ndombele it's a bit more complicated because he's younger and he's worth a lot of money. But with Aurier, it's like, just get rid.
Again, and this is purely speculative, but Paratici, Nuno identified, I want a smaller squad. I want a close-knit group, similar to Pochettino in that respect. And anyone who's a bad influence, I want them gone, basically.
That's
now,
good.
In the past, Daniel Levy's argued hammer and nail, and has taken it to like the 11th hour trying to get a fee. Paratici seems to be of the belief that these people needed to be shifted, which is what most fans, me included, have been desperate for some time. You know, you think about the players that have left, and don't get me wrong, okay? This is no slight on any of these players, because some of them in there I hold very dearly. I'll start with one, Coco. Lamela wasn't the player we thought we signed, but the guy gave everything for us, literally 2 hips, you know. And you couldn't ask for more. Every time he came on, we could be playing Grimsby in a pre-season friendly, and Eric Lamela would come on and play it like it was the World Cup final and his life depended on it. And I loved that. The guy had no chill. Every single youth player who has ever interviewed, who's come through the academy during the Lamela being at the club, then they've asked him, like, oh, when you got into first team training, like, you know, who was the first senior player? And they were like, Coco kicked the crap out of me.
Yeah.
It's like, literally, if he was the first one to put a challenge in on you, then it was Coco, 100% Coco. And then you see, like, the others go, oh, yeah, damn. The guy trained like it was a World Cup final. You just great. And so him leaving, like, was a real tinge of sadness for me, but let's be practical, let's be cold a minute. It was very overdue. You know, we got maybe 20 games a season out of it. That's not enough. That's not an option you can rely on. He needed to go for him as well. He needed to be in a different league. The Premier League's just so physical and ridiculous that you don't get that ability to sort of rest and stuff. And Toby Alderweireld's another one. Toby, phenomenal defender for us. Like, I don't think I've enjoyed watching a central defensive pairing more than Jan and Toby. When those 2 seasons, the peak 2 under Pochettino, they were the best defenders in Europe as a team. It was incredible. And Toby continued to be a class act the whole time. You know, yeah, of course there were 1 or 2 mistakes creeps in the last couple of seasons, but the guy's getting older. And so that happens. But again, it was the timing was right. He kind of felt he was done in the Premier League. He gave an interview just yesterday for Belgian media, of course, International Duty, basically pointing out that due to COVID and the Premier League having like 3 games a week more often than not, he wasn't seeing his kids because he was having to stay in these bubbles all the time. And so I can completely understand why he felt he wanted to do something different. But the minute people make those decisions, the right thing to do is to get them gone, you know?
See, this is the thing, right? Okay. this is just like a light bulb moment that's gone off in my head. So, how many times have I said that Levy is a fantastic businessman,
Yeah.
but can't relate that to football? So,
I
like,
agree.
the amount of times where where he's got us the most amount of money for a player, but it's negatively affected the squad or negatively affected our performances, or it's given us a bad start to the season, a bad end. So what Paratici has done here is he's looked at it from a football point of view. So it's also from a business point of view. And look, you look at Aurier, right? He's 28, so really we could have got a fee for him. And if you take Paratici out of the equation, there's no doubt in my mind that Aurier would either have been sold or would still be at the club. There would be no way that his contract would have been terminated.
I'd have thought so,
I can almost guarantee it. Levy could not. I don't think he's got the ability to think here's a guy here that's still got a year left on his contract. We could sell him for something. There's no way that I'm going to take a hit on this guy. But what Paratici has done, he's looked at it from the football point of view, and he's looked, get this guy out of the club, and then it will positively affect the team, and I think that's what's been missing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, and that is why I thought the director of football role, or someone to take the footballing side away from Levy for a while, has been a good idea. I mean, it's kind of come about through circumstance and necessity because of the ESL thing, and Levy, a lot of chairmen, for example, in the Premier League, just point blank refusing to speak to him. So he had to appoint someone to handle the footballing matters. If indeed it has freed him up to focus on the business side, the commercial side of activities, which, let's be honest, he's second to none with. You look at what we've done on that aspect in the 20 years of Enoch, it's incredible.
Completely,
where we were to where we are now. Mm-hmm. Just the awareness of the club is like ridiculous. So yeah, if it allows that, and if it allows that focus to stay there, I'm hopeful that it's going to be it's going to work out well. I saw a lot of people, obviously, when you get transfer deadline day getting a lot of focus, if you don't make a load of signings on that day, people say, oh, the window was crap. So, well, no, the deadline day didn't live up to expectations, and I'll hold my hands up and say it didn't live up to mine. But the actual window actually exceeded my expectations because I knew going into it we had no money. I think we had like 20 million in a kitty, which everyone knows now, to try and compete with European clubs and to try and push into a top four. 20 million is going to buy you an agent's fee, It's not going to buy you a player that's going to jump into it and really kick things along. So I knew going into the window it was going to be a case of we could spend what we sold. But we've just done deals after deals. Paratici's done the deal with Lamela going as part of the deal to bring in Brian Gill, which is still a crazy name for a Spanish kid. But what have you thought of him so far? Because every time I've watched him play so far, I've been like, okay, you can see the player there. Like that's exciting. I like this.
Yeah, we went to Seb and I went to the European game, the midweek European game, and obviously he started that one. And he's a bit like his best way to describe, I guess, is like a rough diamond, isn't he? There's definitely a player there. He's still young. He's got a lot to learn, but I think with the right kind of coaching and if he can get used to the league and stuff, I think we've got a player, definitely an exciting player there.
I agree. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it's interesting because I do follow football outside of England, but I don't follow it to a degree where I'm going to know a youth player. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like I got an understanding of some of the clubs. I got an understanding of some of the top players. And when we signed Brian Gill, it kind of came a little bit out of nowhere. It's kind of like reported bang and it's done. And what's interesting is, I didn't realise he's the highest rated youngster in the Spanish league in Spain. Wow. Right. He is like the golden kid. He's the Phil Foden of Spanish football. And we've just grabbed him. Yeah. It's like that's mad. Now typically Real Madrid or Barcelona would have snapped him up, but they had no money.
Yeah.
And I think Paratici knew that and just kind of did the deal fast. Got it done. Which is incredible. Apparently, he was the one that he was tracking for Juventus for the same reason, but he made the move to us and brought the idea with him. So, but yeah, it's just the window as a whole. It's kind of strange. I brushed on it a minute ago with regards to Ndombele. He basically wants to leave. He can't now until January. I think me and you said this last week. The guy just seems like an unbelievably talented player, but just an awful professional in terms of training, fitness, and behaviour. I don't know what they can do, really. I mean, obviously someone's going to have to sit him down and just be like, look, even if every single day you stand in the training ground holding your breath and stamping your feet, you cannot leave till January. There's nothing we can do about it, nothing you can do about that. Unless you want to terminate your contract, which is going to cost a lot of money for you. Let's knuckle down. You want a club to buy you, and you want to be out of here. You need to show the clubs around the world why. Or you take the approach of, look, you're here. We've moved on Aurier and Sissoko. Here's Hugo Lloris. He's your new best friend. Let's learn from Hugo. Been at the club 10 years, captain. He's speaking your language literally. Settle in here now and show us what you've got. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the right approach is.
Yeah, as human beings, we're definitely susceptible to being influenced, aren't we, by other people?
Yeah.
So. I wonder, again, it could be just putting two and two together and making six, but I wonder whether part of the reason of kind of terminating Aurier's contract was because they wanted to get the influence away from Ndombele.
Yeah.
So, get rid of him, and then if we can get the right guys influencing Ndombele, we might get the player that we signed,
We signed, yeah. No, I think so. I think... It's been said. It was said a few times that the club were trying to move him on, or at least move those, Sissoko and Aurier on. So that's been done. Speaking of Sissoko, you have a segment on this podcast on a regular basis, and your segment is called Matt's Stats.
Yes.
We've had a couple of messages asking for Matt's Stats to return, and you thought, no, balls to that. And you've created a new segment for yourself, which kind of ties into our sponsors. So are you ready for the debut of your new segment?
I am ready, Sam.
He's got balls!
Right, so this segment is called He's Got Balls, by the fantastic introduction that you've done.
Yeah, it's a professional introduction pending.
There you go. I like it. So what I thought I'd do is every week mention a player that's either done something during the game that's shown he's got balls, or just a general, comment on a player during a game. Now, I thought I'd start this week with, as you nicely linked it in, with an ex-player, but he's very recently become an ex-player, isn't he? Musa
Very
Sissoko.
recently, yeah.
So the reason why I thought I'd nominate Musa Sissoko for He's Got Balls this week is because the guy played with us for, was it 5 years he was with us, wasn't it?
About that,
Yeah, and he got so much stick towards the start, and I can remember Newcastle fans just wetting themselves laughing that we paid 30 million for this guy,
Yep.
And he didn't have a great start, but he become a cult hero in the end, I think. And
Yep.
and then I can remember the Champions League semi-final when we beat Man City, and all the players went into the dressing room and they all chanting his name. He was a cult hero, wasn't he? But the reason why I wanted to nominate him for this week is because, look, the guy's professional. I appreciate that, but I think you've got to have a bit of balls about you to go to your ex-club 2 days after you've signed for another team and play in one of the biggest stages. I actually looked at the attendance, and it was 57,672. And how many then do you think were Watford fans? There couldn't have been many, could there?
No, a couple of thousand.
A couple of thousand. And as we said with Sissoko, he's one of these people that just does what he's asked to do. So there was never any chance that he was never going to play in front of us. But do you know, not only am I giving him? Am I saying he's got balls for playing? But also he's got balls for kicking the football at the Nuno.
Now you've just said something which is probably one of the funniest things I've heard on the radio ever. Okay,
Go on.
So in the game, I had a way of watching, which I won't say, and it kept crashing. So in the end, I put the radio on. Radio 5 Live were covering it. And there's the moment where Sissoko is basically... Ollie Skip is kind of pressured him. He's gone out of bounds. And as he's gone out of bounds, he's trying to hook the ball back in. And so he's absolutely smashed the ball and has hit Nuno full on, right? Now, clearly it wasn't intentional. You know, nothing. Nuno's laughing. Sissoko's apologising. It's nothing. It's done. The commentator on Radio 5 Live says, well, it's obvious he didn't mean to do that because we all know if Sissoko tried to hit him, he would have missed. Now, it was a complete throwaway line and the guy goes straight back into commentating and I am gone. I am like tears in my eyes, killing myself laughing because it was just an absolute bitch slap. And they had Clinton Morrison on as like the other guy and he was killing himself laughing as well. Oh, it was great. It was absolutely hilarious. I mean, just such a line because we all know if he tried to hit him, he would have missed. Right, the ball's now with, and I'm like, no, don't just carry on like you've not just said that. But yeah, so Moussa Sissoko, he's got balls. He had a nice, him and Danny Rose had a nice kind of walk around the pitch at the end as well.
They did, yeah. And you know,
that was a nice moment. Yeah, it was nice to say goodbye to Danny.
It was, yeah. And look, you know, as much as we laugh at Sissoko and his inability to kind of hit the ball on target, you know, there's a lot of love from Spurs fans, and it was, you know, there was no kind of bad feeling when he left, you know. So
not at all.
No, absolutely.
It was time for everybody, and no, the guy, his performances in the Champions League run were excellent. You know, the guy was the one who kicked the ball forward for Lucas to score the winner. Do you know what I mean? It's like he was a part of all of that, and therefore he's going to live on in our memories, you know, for that. And, you know, people say legend a lot. It's like, no, he's not a club legend.
He's a cult hero, isn't he?
It's just a legendary time, and he was a part of it.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And in a fun way. Obviously, we talked about Tanguy Ndombele wanting to leave and now being stuck at the club. Another player in the same boat, of course, is Harry Kane. Harry Kane... I kind of want to air this a little bit, and I want to kind of get your opinion on this because I'm not sure, and we haven't talked about it, so I generally don't know what your opinion is going to be. But the Harry Kane situation, obviously, I spoke about it before. It's pissed me off, and the way he's behaved and the way his people's behaved pissed me off. Him wanting to leave didn't annoy me because I felt the club had declined so much in the last 2 years. I was more annoyed at the club for getting to a point that Harry Kane, one of our own, wanted to leave. So that and the way it's been handled, however, I'm pissed at him. But he did this tweet saying, "Look, I'm staying. Thanks so much to the fans for like such a wonderful reception." And it was kind of like, okay, all right. He started tweeting after the games and after training again, like, you know, #Coys and all that stuff. I'm kind of like, okay, all right, fine. I know it's a PR team, but I'm kind of like, right, I'm gonna move on. Right, I'm not gonna hold this grudge. You're playing again, you know, you're putting it in, so all right, fine. I'm gonna like move towards a forgiving place. Try and learn from my experience with Danny Rose, where I was very angry at Danny Rose for a while, and then, you know, took me a long time to get over it. And this time I'm trying to learn from that experience and be like, okay, let's be a bit quicker, let's be a bit more grown up, let's be a bit more, all right, okay, fine, we're good now. You're staying. We all make mistakes. We're all human. It's cool. Next summer you might be leaving, but whatever. That's future Sam's problem. And then he goes on international duty, and the first thing he does is does an interview talking about it. Am I right in thinking just shut the fuck up?
What did he say in the interview? Because I'm not.
So he's done the interview with TalkSport, and basically, of course, they straight away brought up like, oh, you didn't get your transfer, and so he says like, nobody, you know, of course, there's lots of press speculation, but nobody knows the facts, you know, other than me, and my conscience is clear. So let's just be clear on this. Because we posted this on our Facebook page, and I am just shocked at how many people are like, yeah, you tell him, Harry, nobody knew what was going on. He didn't really want to leave. I'm like, what fucking planet are you on?
Yeah, sure.
Like, I get that there are two sides to every story, and I get that you can be a Harry Kane fan, and you can be of the opinion that Daniel Levy's the devil, Harry Kane's been completely stitched up and all of this, and it's very sad. I can get that some people feel that point of view, but to say he never wanted to leave and it was all press speculation is mental.
Yeah.
You know, even in this interview with TalkSport where they say to him, obviously you wanted to make a move this summer and it hasn't happened, he doesn't go, no, that's not true. He goes, oh yeah, of course there was a lot of you can correct these things if they're not true. He hasn't. And I kept saying to people, it's like, look, these are the facts. With games left to play last season, he did an interview on Sky Sports without the club's permission and shocked everybody by going on TV and basically saying he was keen to leave and he'd be having a chat with Daniel Levy about it. He then, in the same interview, was like, oh, you know, who would I like to play with? Oh, Kevin De Bruyne. Gee, Harry, subtle. And people are like, yeah, but he never said, I want to leave and I want to join Man City. No, that's called breach of contract.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you know you couldn't say anything.
So there's a big difference between what you can say and as far as you can. Doing the interview at all was unprofessional and a slap in the face for Tottenham. And it was his first mistake. Because when he did that, pretty much everyone in the Tottenham hierarchy went, well, fuck you. You want to come in here cap in hand and beg to leave, you're going to get a pretty frosty reception now, kid.
It's sad, isn't it? It's sad that...
It is massively sad that someone who I would describe as the ultimate role model for every young kid playing has tarnished that. And people are saying, no, he hasn't. I'm like, yeah, he has, because there are ways of leaving a football club, and the best thing is, in this very window, Jack Grealish showed everyone how. Jack Grealish loves Aston Villa Football Club. I mean, like, loves it. The kid still now loves that football club and is beloved by everyone there. He is one of their own, absolutely. And then Man City came along and said, we will pay 100 million for Jack Grealish, which was a release clause for him. And Grealish said, I would like to go. I would like to play Champions League football. I would like to play at that stage under Pep Guardiola. And the club went, okay, we understand. If they pay the fee, it's done. The fee got paid. He left. The club issued a massive statement to the fans about it. Jack issued a statement to fans. The fans are fine. You know, everyone was completely understanding. He's made the transfer, and everyone in that whole scenario was good. Because Jack didn't go on TV months before begging Man City to come and sign him. He didn't put out constant passive-aggressive, you know, crap in the press, like about being able to leave. None of that got done. It just was simple, behind the scenes, a transfer happened, and everyone in that transaction's happy. Aston Villa bought some great players with that money, and they're looking at one of their own now playing on that bigger stage, etc., etc. Everyone involved is fine. What makes me like insane about the Harry Kane thing is, like, last season, I'd say probably 90%, and I know I'm just plucking this, but I'd say like 90% of Spurs fans, although didn't want to see him leave, were like, yeah, okay, fair enough. You've given everything for us. This last season, you got the most goals, the most assists, and we finished 7th, 6th, wherever the hell we finished. You know, yeah, okay, I get it. Good luck, Harry. Do you know what I mean? I think everyone was in that same boat.
Do you know what, though? I do agree with you, Sam. I do agree with you, the way he's dealt with it. But here's a scenario for you. So, say at the end of the season, Man City go, right, here's £150 million for Kane, and then we sell him for 150 million. A bit like what's happened with Grealish with the 100 million. I know it wasn't that was a release clause, but I don't think that the interview he did with Gary Neville and Sky Sports would have mattered. I think the fans would have still been like, you know, like with Aston Villa fans are with Grealish. I think part of the problem is the fact that Man City were thinking he's going to cause such a fuss that they'll accept this 75 million, and I think they've got to take some of the blame for it. I think.
No, I think they do as well. I think Man City pay the money, but also look at the press narrative of the whole thing. I couldn't believe I was reading stuff like, oh, Tottenham are blocking Kane's dream move. I'm like, no, they're not.
No.
Pay the frigging money.
Yeah.
It's like I'm sat in my house and a guy comes up to me and says, oh, I'll give you 50 grand for it. And I'm like, no, it's worth more than that. oh yeah, but you want to sell it to me because your house clearly wants to be with me. I'm like, well, what? No, it's worth this. Pay this, and yeah, okay, but it's not. Selling your car or anything, you don't sell it to someone who's paying you less than what it's worth.
Basically,
like
you can imagine someone
brainless.
like a good analogy, like you say with a house, is like someone comes up to you and says, "Can I buy it for 50 grand?" And you go, "It's worth more now." And then the neighbour going, "Stop being out of order. He'd love to live there. Let him have it."
Yeah, I know, and that was the press. I'm like reading this stuff, this narrative, this weird thing that was going on, and you're absolutely right. Because he did that Sky interview, because he did other, like I said, there's constant stories out there. And I know a lot of people are going, oh no, he never came out to do it. Look, if you follow stuff long enough, and me and you have talked about this, and I'm sure you're of the mind now as well, from doing Spurs News for so long, there are some journalists are linked heavily with Tottenham. So when they write a story that is Tottenham based, you go, okay, that's come from someone at the club. Know that is they've been briefed by someone at the club. There are other journalists out there who are the more tabloid, or I'm not going to name, and when they write stuff, it's either absolute fiction. And you can tell because it's like, oh wow.
Yeah.
Or they have literally been handed something. Like someone has literally walked up to them who they can write down as their source and has said, oh, you should say this. For example, a certain newspaper showbiz editor was at a certain wedding of Charlie Kane. Yeah. And came away from it with a anecdotal story of how the whole Kane family were there talking about his transfer and how it was done and the fee and everything like that. Now, if you are a reporter, even for a shit rag, you do still have to have a reason for writing something. So, like, for example, if you're going to make up a transfer story, like, 2 and 2 plus, 2 plus 2 in this again, you have to have some sort of basis for doing it. For a showbiz editor to come up with a story relating to football that gets slapped all over the front page, they have more than just someone sat in a room cooking an idea roughly off an agent saying, well, he could be interested. It's actually because they've got something. And that's, everyone could go, yeah, they make stuff up all the time. If they made it up, there would be some form of that's a lie, printer retraction. There isn't one. Yeah. There was none. There is no denial from Charlie Kane that was said. There is no denial from Harry Kane that at the wedding things like this were said. There's no denial from anybody that this was said. This was a front page news story that ran for days and days and days and was picked up by everybody else. Where's the no, that's rubbish. Where's the whole and the other thing as well, like the fact he was I read this yesterday. He wasn't late back. How could the club not know where he was? He was on Joe Lewis's yacht. Someone else saying he was at Joe Lewis's resort. No, he wasn't. and he was fined 2 weeks' wages.
I can't imagine, and I know you've kind of given me a bit of a background on Joe Lewis, which is made me kind of more aware of the guy's role. Obviously, like he sees Spurs in the investment, but I can't imagine the Spurs players interacting with him. Would he be interested in
zero?
Yeah,
zero interaction with Joe Lewis.
He wouldn't be interested in interacting with him, would he?
It's Daniel Levy. Daniel Levy has in the past arranged for certain people to go out and meet Joe, like on a yacht and stuff like that, and has arranged it. Mauricio Pochettino, for example, went and spent some time on one of Joe Lewis's yachts. And I dare say perhaps he has at some point, Harry being the star player of the club, arranged that. So, do you want to go and spend some time out on one of the yachts or something like that? I don't know. This summer he sure as shit didn't. They weren't speaking. The idea that someone has printed this narrative and put this out there, I wonder where it's come from, that Daniel Levy was aware that Harry Kane was on holiday but didn't tell anyone. What?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, does it?
No. Come on, even saying that out loud, people must surely be aware that no. And then he fines him 2 weeks' wages. What? Because, no, Harry, you never told me. Yes, I did. No, you didn't. I mean, this is nonsense. Yeah. This is like mental nonsense. The club have a player liaison officer. the player liaison officer is the one who deals with all of this. So Harry knows that if he spoke to Daniel Levy, like anecdotal, and goes, "Oh, you're right if I have an extra week off," and Dan goes, "Yeah, I see no reason why not." I'm sorry. Yeah. For one, does anyone actually picture that happening? let's just throw that out for a minute. But two, even Daniel Levy wouldn't. Is not his role. He's the chairman of the whole frigging thing. He's not the guy in charge of holidays. It's like someone coming to Daniel Levy being like, "Hey Daniel, some light bulbs has gone in the gents' toilets in block 5. Just want to get your permission to go out and buy some." It's like, "Oh yeah, that's on my desk. Yeah, that's something I deal with day to day. Certainly, crack on."
It's
no middle management.
No.
It's bollocks. It's nonsense.
Yeah, it's a childlike way of looking at it, isn't it?
It is, and to see people going like, "Oh, the club, no, it was all press. Why was he fined 2 weeks' wages?"
Yeah, of course.
"Oh, that's just the press as well." Nah, it's in the accounts. You can see it.
Yeah.
It's there. The club's a public trading thing. You can see it. It's ridiculous. They released a statement about it, for goodness sake, and people are still denying it happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's enough about that idiot. It just irked me. It's like, you've done that tweet, you're staying. At that point, surely, if you're doing interviews, you're away with England. By the way, his Twitter profile's still him, all England, nothing to do with Tottenham.
Yeah.
If you're there and the interview is like I said, just like, "Look, I'm here with England now. We talk about England, we talk about the Euros, we talk about the World Cup qualifiers. I don't want to talk about my club." It ain't difficult. So the reason why he's talking about it is because he wants to. He wants to continue this. It's going to be a freaking season of it. Every time he goes away with England, it's going to be like, "Oh, we're approaching the January window, Harry. Are you gonna possibly leave?" And I bet he'll leave that freaking dangling up in the air. It's crap. It is absolutely crap. And every time I feel like I'm getting to a place of like, okay, let's move on, he does something else, and it irks him.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, mate.
Yeah, but anyway, alright, so that's enough about him. So far in the league then, Premier League, we're top. 3 games played, 3 wins, 3 1-0s, which I would have lost money on. I would never have been able to predict that. Just you look at the fixtures, like Man City at home, Wolves away, Watford at home. I mean, that's a win, a draw, and a loss, isn't it?
Yeah,
in that order.
Yeah.
I'll
take 4 points.
A Tottenham season, yeah. But 3 1-0 wins. And the thing is we got into the international break top. We're the only team with a 100% record, which is hilarious. Nuno got asked about it. Nuno basically just said, "No, ignore it. I'm imploring every Tottenham fan, everybody, to completely ignore that. It means nothing." I really liked that. I really, because I think in the past, Jose and even Pochettino got kind of into this of, we are where we are. We're, this is where we want to be. This is the start, and we keep winning, then who knows? Nuno's just like, nope, no, this is, there's a hell of a lot of work. We are nothing like where we need to be. I love that, because that's the reality. We've won these 3 games, and in parts, in each of the games, we've looked good, and we've shown real attacking promise, and in other parts, we've looked really off the pace for a while, and then... But the one thing I will say in all 3 games that have impressed me is our defending. Dyer and Sanchez look like different players to me. I don't know if anyone else is feeling that.
I know I said this, mate, but you know why they are looking so good? Because they've got Skip and Højbjerg in front of them.
Yeah, they do. I just wanted you to say it. Yeah, Toby Alderweireld and Jan Vertonghen looked amazing for 2 seasons, and they had Wanyama in front of them.
And Dembele.
Peak Wanyama and Dembele. And now we're looking at Dyer and Sanchez, and everyone's going, "This is strange. I've watched them for years, and they've been donkey. What's going on?" And all of a sudden, you're watching Sanchez look like... he looks taller all of a sudden.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just looks
literally,
like I am here. Like I am man. I am defender again. And Dyer looks like the leanest I think of it. This is weird. This is just bizarre. But I think you're right. I think you put that ability in front of them, the screen, the shield in front of them, and it takes that just element off of them slightly, which enables them to do what they do best. Like, I've not seen a ball come into our box that isn't met with one of their heads this season. You know, like Man City were resorting to just launching it in there. I think De Bruyne, when he came on, did a bit more, which was terrifying for a few minutes. But other than that, they were like launching it in, and those two were just like, nope.
But that's the thing, Sam. They're having to do that because you've got Aurier and Skip, there, and these guys can win the ball so well, can't they?
Yeah, it is a joy to watch. I mean, I was enjoying watching Skip up against Sissoko, the Watford game. I mean, I watched the highlights of it, and there's something quite kind of like almost proud dad about me watching Oliver Skip all the time. And him against Sissoko had this element of, you kept me out of the first team for a good year, you bastard. You know, if you'd left last year, I wouldn't have been on loan at Norwich. You know, and he was in his face all game. And at the end, like when he went off, he like Sissoko kind of gave him a bit of a tap, like, well done, kid.
Yeah.
I loved that. Absolutely loved it. And he has that. He's always had it. He's always looked comfortable at every age bracket, even though he was younger. And now he's in first team level for Tottenham, and he looks like, I've been here my whole life.
He's a first teamer now. That's it. He's in. There's no kind of in and out of the squad like he was that year before Norwich.
No,
he's like
if
one
he's
of
fit. He plays.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just so great. He does make a difference.
Yeah.
I think he really has made a difference for us, and I think him doing that's allowing Højbjerg to play more of the Denmark role, which is bringing the ball forward as well. And I'm looking forward to that developing and seeing more of it. So yeah, I mean, we've won 3 games in a row, and I sort of thought, well, you know, let's look at our next few games that are coming up. We play again on Saturday, the 11th of September. There's a day that lives on in infamy.
It'll be 20 years as well, won't it?
Yeah.
How quickly has
Have
that
you
gone?
been watching any of the documentaries that have been on?
Do you know what? I have in the past, but it's one of those things. Look, I appreciate that it happened and it was horrible, but it just affects me. Like, probably affects everybody, you know, like watches it. But and there is a part of me, as selfish as it sounds, mate, I just kind of want to live in ignorant bliss of this kind of stuff. You know?
No, that's good. No, to be honest with you, no, that's the right thing to do. I watched one. I've never watched the films. Hollywood have made a few films. I've never had any interest in watching them. I'm like, no. I lived that. I don't need to watch a Hollywood movie about it, a dramatisation. Do you know what I mean? But I've watched the documentaries in the past, and every time, like you, it's kind of impacted me. And they had one the other day, which I thought would be a bit different. It was basically a real behind the scenes of the president, George W. Bush at the time, and all of the stuff that was going on. Interviews with him, his chief of staff. Everybody who was literally, and they were doing like a minute by minute of all the events and where they were, what they were doing, how they were doing it, all the other stuff that was going on. I thought, well, that'd be a different perspective. That'd be interesting. So I did watch that, and yeah, at the end of it, I was numb. Because you can have opinions on politicians and their politics and all this stuff and everything like that, but in that moment, we were all just human beings, and I can't imagine facing that. Do you see what I mean? Like, I can't imagine being sat. He was sat in a classroom full of kids and having someone come in and whisper that in his ear. You know, everyone's like, "Oh, he didn't jump straight up and run out." I'm like, "Well done. I probably would have." But by doing what he did, he kept the whole classroom full of kids calm. You know?
Yeah, sure.
And yeah, but anyway, right. That's a sidebar. But yeah, that is 20 years. So Saturday, 11th of September, we are away at Crystal Palace. That's going to be a fun game.
Well, we won prior to last season, because we drew 1-0, I think, didn't we? But prior to that, we'd won the last 6 away fixtures 1-0. So it would be quite fun if we pulled the 1-0s back again, considering how we'd be getting on all season.
Freaking hilarious. No, do you know what? I'm going to have to find the odds of that and just put a 5 on there, so, because that would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? 4 1-0 wins. But yeah, so we are away at Crystal Palace, and then on the Thursday following, we're away in France against Rennes. I know that's not how it's said. I can't say their full name, but I can't. I've tried the French language so many times and I butcher it. It's awful. But their best player's just been sold to Real Madrid, so that was good.
That's a shame.
Yeah. Damn, boo. Oh no, I really wanted to see us up against him. No, I didn't. And then Sunday, the 19th of September, we are at home against Chelsea.
Yeah,
Matt,
right.
You better be there, because if you and Seb aren't there's going to be trouble.
Now I'm taking him, and I said to him, mate, like he's like, when we was at the Man City game,
Yeah.
I think I might have said this. After about 75 minutes, he was like, I want to go, and I was like, what do you mean? He was like, I can't deal with this anymore. He said, I want to go. Right, I'm like, no, we've got to watch it, because he's like, please, can we go, please? We said, we'll listen on the radio, and we'll listen, and I was like, no, we're not leaving, mate. You know.
No.
And he said to me the other day, he's like, when are we just going to watch a game against a team that, like, because obviously the Watford game we had to miss, but that's the kind of one, with all due respect to Watford, but Watford aren't a Man City or a Chelsea, are they?
No,
you know?
we'll have more of the ball.
Yeah.
We'll be creating the chances, not holding on for dear life.
Yeah, we're the favourites,
Yeah.
but so poor sod, next game Chelsea. So I can remember my first ever game as a season ticket holder was Chelsea, and we lost 2-1. So I'm hoping that Seb can kind of reverse that fortune.
Well, Seb's a lucky charm.
Yeah.
So that's why it's essential he's there.
Okay? We are there. We're going.
Yeah. Good. That's important. You know, there would have been petitions otherwise. I'd have had to have rung your work and got you fired or something. just so you know. I'd apologise, but you know, it would have had to have been done. So, following the Chelsea game, we're away at Wolves again in the League Cup. Nuno must have loved that draw. And then Sunday the 26th of September, we are at the Empty Crates, where we face bottom of the league Arsenal. Hopefully they're still bottom then as well.
Hopefully we're still top.
I don't know. Top v bottom in a North London derby has that kind of feel of an inevitable ass kicking.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
And not the way you think.
No.
So yeah, I mean that's.
I did see. Did you see that little video of someone, and they're reading a newspaper and they're going, "Oh my god, I can't believe it! Arsenal top of the league," and someone's gone, "No, your newspaper's upside down, mate."
Nice. I liked the one that Simply Spurs did of Pointless, where you're going down a table and you hear Armstrong go, "Oh, it's really low."
Yeah. Do you know what? This is the thing, right? Because look, we're getting we're enjoying it, okay? And like you said, like with Nuno, I can remember after the Watford game, I watched the interview afterwards, and someone said to him, "Do you feel like we're there almost?" Then he was like you said, he's like, "No, we're nowhere near there." Do you know, which is really good.
Yeah.
But I saw when you posted on Facebook about where the table, and vast majority of people like going, "This is fantastic," but then I think I saw somebody say, "Oh, it's 3 games in, stop getting carried away," and I think this is relating to this, but in my life this is kind of something I'm thinking of for my own mental health, is you've kind of got to live in the now, haven't you? Right?
Agreed.
Just live in the now, right? And in the now, we're top of the league, they're bottom of the league. It's very, very likely to the point of I'd put no money on it that it's not going to be like this in 6 months' time. I think we'll be at the top 4. Arsenal would work their way up. Probably, I reckon they'd be like top half. We'd be fairly close. But right now, today, we're top, they're bottom. Let's enjoy it.
I think there's also a generational thing. I think there are certain generations of Tottenham fans who are used to being competitive with Arsenal, and then there's me and you, for example, who as kids at school got to watch Arsenal fighting for the Champions League and winning titles and trophies every year, whilst we were trying to desperately cling on to a player and maybe avoid the relegation zone.
Yeah.
So for me and you to sit there for a minute and go, right, here's the table, we're number 1. Where are they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that. You're bottom of the league with no wins, no goals. I would never have believed it. You said to me as a kid, like a time traveller goes, "Oh, on this date in 2021, Tottenham will be top of the league, 3 wins, from 3. The only team in the league with 100% record, and Arsenal will be bottom, 100% record, but the other way, and
not scored a goal,
3 defeats."
Yeah.
I'd have gone, no, no way. Never gonna believe that.
Did you see that meme with it was a screenshot and it had like at the bottom, "accept cookies," and it says, "I have to accept cookies to see where Arsenal are in the league."
Yeah, you sent that to me. I love that. I have to accept cookies to see where the scum are in the league. Man, that's beautiful. And let's enjoy it, because we got an international break. Like, going into an international break, I mean, there's nothing worse.
Nothing's going to change in 2 weeks, is it?
It's like, we need another game. It's like, come on. Like, we just win one and we're off the bottom, but no, we got to wait this whole international break with us rock bottom and every Tottenham fan we see just smiling at us. Like, one of my best friends in the world's an Arsenal fan, and she's stressed out of her eyeballs at the moment because she's a teacher, and they're going back, and they've got all this stuff going on. So I thought, right, I'm going to be nice. I'm not going to give her crap over this. I'm just going to do anything. I got a message yesterday. You smug bastard. I was like, what? Should I know your game? You've deliberately not said anything just to make it worse. Every day I check my phone waiting and nothing comes. I'm like, fucking hell. I hadn't even tried. I was trying to be nice and I've still tortured the poor sod. It's like, this is brilliant.
I love it.
This is amazing. So then I just let her have it. Like every meme I've seen, it's just like, boom, every 5 minutes, have another one. You're going to bloody start on me and I've done nothing to you. But yeah, no, I'm enjoying this week a lot.
Yeah, me too.
it's like I hate international breaks, but this week I am loving it. Beautiful. I am giving them hell.
And do you know what? You have hit the nail on the head as well. The fact that there's no game for 2 weeks to change it, because like I said, in a few months' time, it'll all settle.
Oh Lord, yeah, it's gone. So enjoy it now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like someone gives you an ice cream. You don't go, "Oh, wait a month. The thing will be melted."
Yeah, just enjoy it,
people. So yeah. I never get, like, me and you talked about this so much. Like, I never understand the philosophy of but it's like, nah, live in the moment a minute. Put your phone down.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Do you know what? A good example, and apologies if I mentioned this before, but I can remember years and years ago I was watching a football game with my brother, and it was probably in the dark days, But I can remember we scored, and I went mad. And he just sat there stone cold. And I was like, what's wrong? He went, oh, you watch, they'll score in a minute. And I'm like, that's not how you enjoy football.
Yeah, no, that's not. Oh, bless him. I mean, don't get me wrong, we've all had days. I mean, I sometimes watch us, and because it's in the Spurs chat, I'm like, this feels inevitable.
Yeah.
This really feels like any minute we're going to concede. Please don't.
Yeah.
But that's more about me saying a silent prayer to the football gods, who I believe in, by the way.
And they don't support Spurs, the football gods. Come on, you must have realised that by now, sir.
No, they don't. They don't. The football gods are cruel.
There might be one of them as a Spurs fan, but he gets stuck in a corner. He's like,
I think he's drunk.
He's drunk.
I think the Tottenham football god's hammered all the time, and just every now and again he'll do something that's really great, but then he'll fall asleep pissed in the background. And the Arsenal one takes over. It's like, oh, he reached the Champions League final. Ooh, penalty against them after 30 seconds. There you go. It's like, what happened? What the hell happened? Clearly it was divine intervention getting us this far, and then where did you go? You fell asleep drunk is what he did. He sat there in the corner singing Chaz and Dave. Anyway, to finish this week, we need to talk about the wonderful people at manscaped.com. We have to put a promo into every single podcast, so here's this week's. This is a test as well, okay? Stefan listens to this podcast. Stefan, he's been on the show a load of times. He's a very famous guy. He was part of an Amazon documentary, in case nobody knows. Stefan got his Manscaped box this week.
Fantastic.
And he wasn't the only one as well, because as I'm saying this, another fan of the podcast messaged in. I'm going to have to find it now, and that person was Paul Wilshire. Paul, thank you so much for buying it. I hope you used our code, because one, it gives you money off. Did I mention that, by the way? It gives you money off if you use our code, SNPod. Did I say that?
You did. So it says SN for Spurs News, SNPod. And it gives them 20% off and free shipping, which is fantastic.
Yeah, Matt, that's correct. Well done. 20% off and free shipping with manscaped.com. Wow, you're like really good at this. So thanks, Paul. I really appreciate it. Look, they're not... Basically, the deal with Manscaped is they give us a script and I ignore it. Mostly because every time they sponsored loads of people. They even sponsor Arsenal Fan TV, which would bother me if not for the fact I think more people that aren't Arsenal fans watch that.
Yeah, there you go, yeah.
And right now, I'm one of them. Because it is amazing. It's just so good. Watching them like implode. Someone on there was like, oh, it makes it worse that Tottenham are top mine. And someone in the background goes, yeah, well, it won't last. I'm like, no, but right now we are. Anyway, so yeah, manscaped.com, wonderful people. Stefan's got his. And he sent me a message where he basically says to me, it says on this, it won't cut you. That's a lie. Be very careful when trimming your bits.
No, do you know what? Do you know what? I've been using it quite regularly, and I did actually look it up. They've got this technology that basically protects you. So I don't know what Stefan was doing.
No, I have no idea. But apparently he's managed to get a very small cut in an area where you don't want a very small cut.
You see, with the razor, it's got a light on it, so that it's.
Yeah.
Did he do it drunk? I think that might be the problem.
Maybe. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, he's a newly married guy. I don't get. I mean, surely the missus would have helped. I mean, he was busy laughing his head off that it's called the lawnmower, which, to be honest with you, does crack me up as well. It does make me laugh. But anyway, manscaped.com, check them out. Go to their website, find some stuff. Even if you just want to buy a friend of some ball wipes because their balls stink, go on there, use our code, and have some fun. But please do, if you want to support the podcast, it would help us out. Because then they might send us lots of money.
Do you know what?
Then we can retire.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I found another product that I've been using, which has been fantastic. Because I'm into my running. It's one called a crop preserver, and it's basically.
Is this from Manscaped.com?
It is indeed, and it basically is anti-chafing. So I have found that absolutely fantastic. So anyone that likes to run as well, brilliant. Yeah. Bit of crop preserver.
Yes, at manscaped.com. Use our code, buy it, enjoy it, and feel free and all that stuff. I think it says something on the box when it arrives, your balls will thank you.
Yes, and they have been ever since.
Yes, ball toner is the future, people. So lastly then, I feel bad. Every time I've got to fit that promo in, I've then got to segue either to talking about balls or away from talking about balls. Now, I want to talk about our players that are on loan, and I can't think of any slick way to segue between talking about balls to talking about players that are going on loan.
I can't help you there, mate.
I'll try this, okay? Everybody's got balls. Speaking of guys with balls, our players that are out on loan. There you go. That's slick, wasn't it? Yeah. No one would have noticed that. I'll edit that. J. Neil Bennett has gone out on loan. He has joined Crew Alexandra till January. Cameron Carter-Vickers has once again added to his loan CV and is now in the Scottish Premier League with Celtic. I am told there is an option for them to buy him built into that.
Just out of interest, do you know how many players Celtic have signed in this pre-season?
No, mate.
12.
Oh wow! Oh, they do need it, man. They've been crap. I mean, in the nicest possible way. Alfie Whiteman, academy goalkeeper, many felt was going to be third choice this year. Desperate for just playing football, basically, as a first-team goalkeeper. He's joined Degerfors IF in Sweden. I cannot say that without sounding like the Swedish chef, and I don't mean to. Yeah, door the Flurgen Degerfors. I can't not do it. I'm sorry, everyone. Everyone from Sweden, and we do have 4 Swedish listeners.
We did have.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, but our listenership in Norway has gone through the freaking roof. Jamie Bowden has joined Oldham to the end of the season. Keon Ete has joined Northampton till the end of the season. Troy Parrott, as we know, is at the MK Dons and is currently top of their goal scorers and assist chart with 2 and 2. And Pape Mate Sarr, who we signed, is on loan at Metz, has already played a game for them since joining us, and was great, by the way, which is kind of strange. French football is available to watch, so over the course of the season, if you're at a loss and you see a Metz game on, check him out. The kid's basically your first choice midfielder for them, so he's going to play as many games this season as he's fit to play, and yeah, there's something about him. There is definitely a player there. That's going to be quite interesting. And again, we beat a whole host of clubs to get in him, like we did with Brian Gill. So I think there are certain moves for now that have happened, and certain moves for the future, definitely. Yeah. And overall, I'm quite impressed. We just need to do a bit more for the now in January, if possible.
Yeah.
But that's it, mate. That's everything I want to talk about. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we wrap up?
No, I mean, like you say about Pape Sarr, it just shows you. I know you mentioned it about the fact that we're taking advantage of the fact that like the massive clubs in Spain are sort of struggling. But these are the guys that even look at Emerson Royale. I don't think we would have got him if they weren't struggling. No. So we definitely really made
Barcelona wanted to keep him.
We've made him.
Yeah, we've made a move there where Barcelona have had to make a decision because they've got certain players on their books and they needed to cut it down. I mean, they've even let Griezmann go back to Atletico on loan to get him off the wage bill.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
They lost Messi and Griezmann in one window and signed a guy that flopped at Newcastle.
It's mad, isn't it? How it's turned.
It's a weird time. But I mean, it could readdress the balance in Spain. You know, you could therefore see more of a top four rather than just a top two all the time, which I think would be good.
Yeah, completely. I agree, mate. Completely.
Yeah, but anyway, that's their problem, not ours. We got to focus on us, and right now we are top of the league.
Yes, long may continue.
Yeah, definitely for another week. But we'll be back next week where we'll still be top of the league and we'll enjoy it. We'll do a bit more of a preview for the games that are coming up, talk a little bit more about all things that are happening in Tottenham Hotspur. Until then, everybody, you take care.
Take care, mate.
Thank you for listening to the Spurs News Podcast. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Stay up to date with all things Tottenham. Follow us on social media. All links are in the podcast description.